Welcome to the weekend edition of SAT TV News. I'm Alicia George. Thanks for joining us. In our top stories, police PRO speaks on death at Wesley and businessman charged with money laundering. Ministry of Health closely monitors Ebola outbreak. From the region, Jamaica signs US $105 million loan with World Bank. And internationally, Ukraine and pro-Russia rebels signed ceasefire deal. In sports, volleyball fans treated to exciting Division 1 semi-finals. Details of these and other stories will follow. Welcome back. A businessman and his wife have been arrested on charges of money laundering. Speaking at a press briefing on Friday, Police Public Relations Officer Inspector Claude Wicks revealed that Nicodemus Francis and his wife were arrested on Monday by law enforcement authorities during a search warrant on their property in Portsmouth.
A sum of €105,100 was found. That money was seized by the police for investigations, and he, along with his wife, they were taken into custody for investigations. On conclusion of the investigations, Nicodemus appeared before the customs authorities, and he was fined $10,000 forthwith, that is to pay right away.
Francis's wife was subsequently released without charge. According to Inspector Wicks, Francis breached the Customs Control and Management Act. In response to why exactly the search was conducted, Inspector Wicks remarked that it is the responsibility of the police and other law enforcement authorities to ensure that crime is minimized in order to maintain the law.
We have to be observant as law enforcement agencies. We have to be on the ground. We have to know what is happening, because it's not too much about us knowing what is happening, more than securing or seeking to secure, protect the nation.
Meanwhile, the PRO revealed that an investigation is ongoing into the death of Derek Bazil of Wesley. Bazil's body was found on the Woodford Hill beach on September 2nd at around 6:30 a.m.
A coroner's inquest touching the death of Derek Bazil, who was 37 years at the time of his death, will be convened, is expected to be convened pretty soon, and to be followed by a post-mortem examinations. Investigations into the death of the said Derek Bazil are continuing.
Speculations into the matter suggest that Bazil may have drowned. The Ministry of Health is closely monitoring the Ebola outbreak as the number of Ebola deaths continue to increase in West Africa. Speaking at a 3-day regional case-based system CBS workshop on Wednesday, Health Minister Honorable Julius Timothy said Dominica has been working closely with regional and international organizations to monitor the disease.
Dealing with Ebola will again require the collective efforts of all public health agencies in the region, as well as multi-government agencies. The cooperation of the public will be key in minimizing the first risk of bringing Ebola to the region, and secondly, preventing its spread.
The minister said although the risk of introduction into the island remains low, travel bans for persons traveling from West Africa may be applied if the risk of infection for travelers increases. According to the health minister, necessary preparations are being put in place to deal with possible transmission of the disease into the Caribbean.
My ministry is working very closely with PAHO, WHO, CAFA, and other agencies to put the necessary preparations in place and to take the appropriate actions necessary to protect the health of the nations.
The minister said it is also important for countries in the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, to implement a multi-purpose identification system, MPID, that will improve healthcare delivery, not only within the individual countries, but between members of the OECS. Honorable Timothy said introduction of MPIDs will make health-related data more readily available for use. To date, more than 1,900 people have died from the outbreak, which started in Guinea in December of 2013. Fire Chief Josiah Dupree has questioned Portsmouth fire officers' decision to protest what they deemed as unworkable conditions. In early August, several officers from the Portsmouth Fire Station camped outside the building in protest action. During a press briefing on Thursday, Dupuis said his role as fire chief is to maintain uninterrupted service and is not restricted to how right or incorrect the officers are.
We may discuss as to whether it is legal or illegal, whether there is agreement here or disagreement here. That is a separate matter. My role as fire chief has to go past how right or how incorrect they are. My role, although acknowledging their right for protest or any action that they think they may take or could take, my role as fire chief, however, is to repair so that we can maintain uninterrupted service at any point.
The fire chief pointed out that there are deficiencies in the fire service. However, those responsible for addressing those issues have been informed and are working on rectifying those deficiencies.
I have a responsibility to ensure that there is a certain level of safety which is maintained in every community, given the resources that is available. And in this case, where we had fire officers assigned to a station, but in principle, we're not carrying out the functions that they were expected to do, the chief would actually have failed in his responsibility had he not sought to repair that.
According to the fire chief, the officers were told on several occasions that the fire services were working on identifying a suitable location for their transfer, but the officers still chose to protest. As a result of the protest action, majority of the officers were transferred to other fire stations. According to the fire chief, the officers had refused to answer the telephone even after they had been relocated to a suitable temporary facility. Dupuis said his actions were predicated on the need to maintain safety at a particular standard. When we return, find out what CCCU is doing to assist the youth. Welcome back. 4 students are now fully equipped for secondary school beginning Monday as they were recipients of full scholarships courtesy the Central Cooperative Credit Union, CCCU. Colleen Burnaby, General Manager of the CCCU, said the cooperative annually awards deserving students, 2 based on need and 2 based on merit.
These scholarships are complete scholarships, costing over $8,500 per student over the 5 years. And it covers school fees, books, CXC and CCSLC examination fees, uniform allowance, and stationery allowance during the 5 years of secondary school education. Today, on behalf of the Board of Directors, committees, and staff, I extend congratulations to Ludovic Robinson, Naja Francis, who are the successful applicants of the J.B. Eugene Scholarship based on merit, and to Timera Christopher, who unfortunately could not join us this morning, and Kimroy Cook, the successful applicants of the Father Prosman's Scholarship based on need.
Burnaby said the CCCU scholarships are awarded in keeping with the credit union's goal of education and social responsibility, their way of developing the youth through education. The CCCU General Manager advised the students to work hard in school to make themselves, their parents, and the Central Cooperative Credit Union proud. The students all expressed appreciation to the CCCU for the scholarship.
My name is Ludovic Robinson from Chance Portsmouth, Dominica, and I'm very elated to have gotten this scholarship, and I'd like to thank God and the Central Cooperative Credit Union for granting me this scholarship, and I honor this scholarship by working very hard in school.
My name is Naja Francis of Montjoy-Wana. I would like to thank the Central Cooperative Credit Union for this amazing opportunity they have provided for me. I would like to thank my parents for all the support they have given to me, my family, my friends. Thank you.
My name is Kimroy Cook. First and foremost, I would like to thank God for His never-ending grace and mercy during what ended up to be one of the toughest times of my life. To be considered for a credit union scholarship is a great honor and privilege. So thank you, Central Cooperative Credit Union.
The CCCU General Manager also extended congratulations to Devon Brewster, a 2009 CCCU J.B. Eugene Scholarship or Merit recipient, who excelled at the CXC examinations with 9 1s and 2 2s. A new council has been inaugurated to run the day-to-day affairs of the villages of Campbell and Desport. During the 11th inaugural meeting of the Campbell Desport Village Council on Monday, 8 new members were inducted into the council. New chairman of the Campbell-Desport Village Council, Kerry St. Hilaire, said the focus of the newly inaugurated council will focus on developing infrastructure. St. Hilaire wants the youth of the area to get involved in creating an ambience where they can socialize through sports and other activities that can showcase their talents. Meanwhile, Parliamentary Representative for the Maho constituency and Minister for Public Works, Energy and Ports, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, pledged to continue working with the council in developing the community. The new councillors of the Campbell-Desport Village Council are Kerry St. Hilaire, Chairman, Ralph Esprit, Darren Esprit, Ashley Esprit, Adam Adair, Michelle Esprit, Cedric DeBon, and Sabina Christmas Riley. Speaking during a recent press conference, President of the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, DHTA, Gregor Nassif, says the immigration process at the Rosa Ferry Terminal needs to be expedited. He said a large number of visitors to Dominica come from the French islands via the ferry, and there have been complaints about the slow pace of the immigration process.
We have gotten complaints over and over again that it is almost like I have to be careful the word I use, but it is almost a form of visitor harassment. The way the customs and particularly the immigration process is currently handled, it is very tiring, it's very long, it's very frustrating. Now these are people, I repeat, that we have to compete for. They can go on the ferry to St. Lucia, they don't have to come here. And we need to find the will and work with each other to streamline the process.
He said the DHTA has taken up the issue with the Dominica Air and Seaport Authority DASPA with a view to resolve the problem. Nassif added the DHTA is committed to working with DASPA to hopefully solve these issues very soon.
The key thing again is to look at the importance of the industry to the island, look at the importance of the arrivals on the ferry, take into account that we are competing for these people to come here and to spend their hard-earned funds here. Let's make the visitor experience efficient and enjoyable. It's not that difficult to do.
Recently, Managing Director of Express Desire, Roland Belma, called on local authorities to implement measures at the terminal to expedite the immigration process. And in court news, Jerome Lafleur, who was recently released from prison, was ordered to pay an elderly woman compensation after he pleaded guilty to stealing 1,000 euros from her home. Lafleur appeared before Magistrate Michael Bruni on Thursday. The fact stated that the retiree, who was vacationing at Louviers, had left to visit her neighbor and left her home open with the bag containing the money in her bedroom on the floor. When the elderly woman returned home, she noticed that the bag was on the table and the money was missing. She reported the matter to police, and upon investigation, Lafleur was arrested but insisted that he had only taken $400 from the bag, which according to him was on the table. He maintained that plea during mitigation at court and begged for a chance to repay the lady rather than be sent to prison. Magistrate Bruni imposed an 18-month sentence suspended for 2 years, and Lafleur was ordered to pay compensation of $4,260. $400 of that amount is to be paid by October 31st, 2014, $400 by December 31st, 2014, and $3,460 by December 31st, 2015. Defaults of any of the $400 installments will result in 3 months imprisonment, while 6 months imprisonment will serve as default for the higher installments. Kenrick Lucien of Tarish Pit has been fined $1,000 for beating his ex-girlfriend. The 32-year-old pleaded guilty to battery and throwing stones in the Tarish Pit public road on September 1st, 2014. The incident occurred about 6:45 a.m. when he met his ex-girlfriend and daughter of his mother by a public standpipe and incited threats. The ex-girlfriend's brother, who had heard what Lucien said, got out of his house and approached Lucien with a knife. Lucien later pelted a stone after the brother and struck his ex at the back of her head. The matter was reported to police, who visited the area and informed Lucien of the matter, which they were investigating. He told the officers he had in fact pelted the stone after her brother, but only because he came after him with a knife. Before sentencing, Magistrate Candia Correct George cautioned Lucien, reminding him that women are to be loved and cherished, and if his ex-girlfriend had moved on with her life, so should he. Lucien was ordered to pay the battery fine by October 31st, 2014, and in addition $1,000 for throwing missiles by December 31st, 2014. Default of payment for any of the fines will result in 3 months imprisonment. Meanwhile, Mario Xavier of Newtown was sentenced to 12 months in prison for stealing a Mastercraft screwdriver and a countertop wood plane from 2 different individuals who were engaged in a project at Parade of Fashion on September 2nd. The repeat offender, who received a previous 6-month suspended sentence for 2 years in September 2013, now has to serve that sentence. Additionally, he was sentenced to 6 months in prison for each of the theft offenses, which will run concurrent, and then serve out his suspended sentence. This has been the local segment of the news.